Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum and I'm here today at the Rock Island Auction Company taking a look at a pair of Kommer pistols. This is a Kommer Model 3 and a Kommer Model 4. And interestingly, these were both manufactured in 1940. They really have the appearance of much earlier guns, but they were made right up into the beginning of World War II. So these were manufactured by a guy named Theodore Emil Kommer, who was born in 1866, son of a German gunsmith, took up the same trade, worked for his father, and then in 1889, at the age of 23, he set up his own shop, focusing initially on sporting rifles and single-shot pistols. And apparently he did reasonably well because he was still in business doing that in 1920. Of course, after World War I, the Treaty of Versailles prohibited Germany and German companies from manufacturing military arms. And so Kommer did what a lot of companies in Germany did at that point. He focused on a little civilian pocket pistol style of gun. And his first gun, which was kind of retroactively named the Model 1, at the time it didn't have a specific designation, was basically a copy of the 1906 Colt Browning FN pistol in 25 ACP caliber, or 6.35 millimeter Browning. The grip wasn't quite the same. It had kind of this curved grip to it. And he replaced that relatively soon, certainly by 1927. He had replaced that with something that is more a closer copy of the Browning pistol. So that would initially be his Model 2, and then he also released, by 1927, the Model 3, which is the exact same gun but with a longer magazine. That would sustain the company for a while until the 1930s when he came out with the Model 4. So both of these are copies of Browning pistols, this being basically the baby Browning, this being a copy of the FN 1910 Browning. So let's take a closer look at these two in detail, and I'll compare them to their Colt FN Browning copies. Well, not copies, they're Colt and Browning FN parents, I suppose is a better term. We'll start with the small gun. So this is a Colt, basically baby Browning. This is a Kommer Model 3, and the Model 2 Kommer was the exact same thing with a grip about this much shorter. The Colt has a 6-round magazine. The Model 2 had a 6-round magazine. This Model 3 has an 8-round magazine. I think it's pretty clear how close of a copy this is, but let's take a look inside. Although first, here on the left side we have Kommer pistol, caliber .635, and a serial number. So this is relatively high, 14,500. THK, Theodore Kommer, on both of the grip panels. Note that this one is not chipped. It is actually cut away at the factory to allow the safety lever here to move. On the top of the slide, we have TH, Theodore Kommer, Waffenfabrik zella-mahlis. And then the sights on this guy are pretty simple. They're not quite the trough sights on the Browning, but they're very small. Then on this side, we have an Eagle over N proof mark, and this is a German proof mark that was introduced in 1940. Actually, it was formally adopted in 1939. The proof house actually started using it on January 15th, 1940. So this is a 1940 production gun, despite the fact that it looks like a 1906 pattern baby Browning. Disassembly is nice and easy. What we're going to do is push the slide back, engage the safety, and rotate it up to lock the slide open. We then have this knurled section on the barrel, and locking it open like that puts it at exactly the right spot to unlock the barrel. So once I rotate that, disengages the barrel locking lugs from the frame. Then I can just come back here, drop that, and the slide is going to catch on the magazine that I forgot to take out. There we go. Now the slide comes right off the top of the gun. And pull out our recoil spring and guide. There's our striker spring and its guide rod. The barrel can slide out, and I can pull the grips off, which is going to be relevant to show one of the differences from the Browning. So here is our Colt and our Kommer. The slide assembly is functionally identical. A little bit different patterning on the barrels, and the Kommer barrel actually comes out the front of the slide, where the Colt you have to tip it out the back. On the frame is where we see the differences. The first difference is that the Colt, the Browning gun, has a grip safety. Kommer simplified the whole thing by getting rid of the grip safety, and then he also simplified the fire control mechanism a bit. So he has this disconnector here on the left side in a cutout of the frame. Colt has a solid frame, and Colt has a pair of bars that come back wrapping around the magazine. So you can see one right there and one right there. Kommer has only one trigger bar coming back, and it's here on the left side in this cutout of the frame, and it's combined with this slide safety, this out of battery safety, so that if this is pressed down, which happens when the slide's not in battery, then the trigger goes back and it doesn't actually push on the sear there. So when that is in battery and the safety's not on, it will push back and you can see the sear dropping. The Model 4 Kommer is very much the same story. You can see the similarities here between the Kommer and the FN 1910. Again, the FN has a grip safety. Kommer simplified the design by getting rid of the grip safety, but the disassembly method is identical again. The markings on here are a little bit different than the earlier patterns. This is Waffenfabrik Kommer in zella-mahlis. Interestingly, that's the same town that Walther is based in. Caliber is 7.65 millimeter. We have our serial number here, 12,000 and change. Unlike the Model 3, there are no markings on the top of the slide of the Model 4 here, just some nice matting texture. And then a pretty small set of sights again. This isn't really meant to be a target pistol. This is more of a point blank sort of close range thing. Safety is on the back of the gun. That's safe. That's fire. We have a 7-round magazine. Pretty typical standard stuff. Heel magazine release, just like the FN. We once again have a 1940 Eagle over N German proof mark. And then for disassembly, instead of, well, the FN 1910 has like a bayonet lug style of attachment to the barrel bushing here. The Kommer is just threaded in. So in theory, this can come loose as you shoot it, and this is what retains the mainspring. However, there's a fair amount of thread in there, and if it starts to come loose, as long as you are aware of that, the fact that that's a possibility, not a big deal to keep an eye on it and tighten it up when needed. Once we take out the magazine, all we have to do is rotate the barrel up, like so. That disengages its locking lugs, and then the slide comes off the front of the frame. In this case, I have the striker still sitting on the sear, so I'm going to carefully pull that off. We'll reassemble that inside the slide. We have pretty much the exact same situation here with the Model 4. So this is our Kommer over here. This is our Browning FN. And again, you'll notice that, of course, the grip safety is deleted on the Kommer. The frame on the Kommer is wide open, where the frame on the Browning is enclosed. And that is because, again, Browning has these two arms connecting to the trigger that wrap around the magazine, where Kommer just has the one on the left side that, again, connects to this out of battery safety. So when the slide is all the way forward, that round segment is able to drop into that little semicircular cutout, which then allows the trigger to actually drop the sear here. If the slide isn't in battery, this gets pushed down, and then no matter what you do with the trigger, it doesn't actually contact the sear. Here are the two nose caps from the different pistols. The FN Browning one here, you'll notice, has these two protrusions on the sides. So this goes in, rotates, and locks in place. And in theory, this can't come loose over time, where Kommers, with just simple straight threading, can, over time, come loose. Now, it is simpler to manufacture this, so that's your trade-off. So there you have the Kommers, the Model 4 and the Model 3, and their Browning counterparts. The one thing I should also point out that I realized I forgot to mention before is that both of the Browning designs have magazine safeties. Kommer's simplification extended to also removing the magazine safeties. So both of the Kommers will fire without the magazines inserted, which some people see as a benefit and some people see as a detriment. Total production of these pistols was just under 20,000, and all four models ran in the same serial number range. So As he manufactured guns of all different models, because certainly the 3s and the 4s were in production simultaneously, as he made the guns, he serialized them, and there aren't different ranges for the different models. So production would end in 1940, and we do see guns. In fact, a relatively large number of the guns were pretty late production. So both of these, as you saw, have those eagle end proof marks that indicate 1940 production. However, like I said, production ended in 1940, and Kommer would pass away in 1942. And that was the end of the Kommer company. So I think they're a pretty cool, kind of unknown little simplified version of the Browning, available for sale in Germany right up into the beginning of the war. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you'd like to find out more about the Rock Island Auction Company, you can check out their catalog on their website. You can also check out the description text below for links to their Instagram page and their YouTube channel, both of which have some pretty cool material updated regularly. Thanks for watching.